I've been a couple times. It's not my favorite place. I'm not a huge fan of Vegas.
I don't drink, so there's not a lot for me. Well, I mean, that's a lie. There's a lot to do, but
I don't like gambling.
a couple
I
times. It's not
I
my.
downloaded a blackjack app last night just to play blackjack on my phone. I'm not ready for gambling ever because I suck at it. I lost all the money that the game gave me. So, no thanks. I just don't believe in throwing money away. I don't gamble. The only bets I take are sure bets, and usually not the best odds.
99% of gamblers quit right before their biggest win.
Yep. You want to know something, Ty? I quit well before that
Just messing with it.
because because scared money don't make money. Bullshit. Scared money don't lose money.
You know, I always
I
tell
know,
people
I
those
know a lot of
giants.
gamblers. Very few of them are successful gamblers.
I say those giant fancy casinos aren't there because they give away money.
Yeah. It's a great business structure. Well, it is Wednesday. I want to hear your wins.
I got 12 offers on my listing last week.
Here we go.
Nice.
Heck yeah, man.
Accepted 160,000 over.
That's not bad.
I had a closing yesterday that was a referral out in Florida, and then I have supposedly a closing today. I don't understand why they send out the settlement statements, but they have to revamp it like 4 different times. Why they do that?
They had to redo the settlement statement 4 times.
Yeah, and it's still not
The
the TD settlement.
heck?
They did it 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and then the title company sent me a message last night at 10:30 and at midnight, seeing if we could move my client to 10 o'clock because they still haven't been able to. They need to make adjustments on the settlement.
My goodness. Sounds like a new title company.
No, no.
Title.
Things happen, guys. Things happen. We just got to flow with it.
What causes that though?
I don't know. I
There's
don't
going
know.
to be a myriad of things.
Yeah, it's literally too much to name what could potentially be the issue. But the issue here is we just gotta roll with it.
Something didn't balance, or they found some little lean or something. That could be a whole mess of things.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But 4 times this seems excessive.
Yeah. I would start pushing back on title and be like, what the heck, man?
I did. I sent them a message said, "Could you help me understand why we keep changing it four
I love
times?"
that. Beautiful, beautiful message. Could you help me understand? We don't blame, we find resolutions. Well, how's the rest of yous? I know Audra's driving. Jessica's looking at her table. Lydia's doing something on her computer, trying to figure it out. Anthony's probably at the gym. Well, it's Wednesday. What questions, situations, objections do you want to work on today?
You guys have a non-confidential form you have to use for open houses?
Nope.
Lucky.
Tell us more about yours.
Well, I can show it to you. Uh, Open house, visitor, non-agency disclosure, and sign in. Agent does not represent visitor. Communication with agent at open house property to or for benefit of seller. Communication with agent are not confidential. If visitor writes an offer on the property through agent at that time, agent will disclose if agent and agent's broker represent the seller exclusively or both seller and the visitor. And if visitor wants to be represented by the agent holding the open house, visitor should sign a representation agreement with the agent holding the open house. 7 spots for signatures. I use like 6 pages, and the back is because I ran out of pages.
That's that's just getting crazy, guys. The amount of disclosures around that is just that's nuts to have to be.
Welcome to California.
Yeah, that's just nuts. But it's right. I mean, there's the problem here is a lot of consumers just don't know. They don't
Right.
know. They go into an open house and they just don't know that you're there as a facility of the seller. And that means nothing to them because they're like, "Oh, you can help me." Well, no. I had a I had a client the other day just reach out to me via text, not a client, a customer reach out to me the other day asking a bunch of questions on a piece of land. See if I can find the text messages. And I was just like, I fired back. I was like, you know, I represent the seller, don't you? Like, you're asking a bunch of questions that are probably going to get you in trouble in negotiations. And I had to tell him multiple times, I represent the seller only. If you want to hire me as your agent, that's a completely different conversation. But I want you to know at this point, if you don't have an agent, I can't help you. I can't answer those questions. What should you offer? They flat out, consumers don't know that you're there to protect the seller. Or if it's a listing, you're there to protect the seller. Real estate agents, listen to me carefully when I tell you, when you start giving advice, that's implied agency. And it is handled no different than if you have a contract with that person to protect that person. So if you answer the question, what should I offer? And you start walking them down the path of negotiation and advising them on stuff, that's implied agency. So I kind of don't hate the disclosures that say, hey, listen, I'm
I
not
like
here
it
for
too.
you. I'm here for them. But also, smart consumers be like, wow, I'm at a disadvantage if I don't utilize the services of a professional. I really hope when I say that you guys are professionals, you feel it. You might be brand new at this or never done this before, but it's likely that you know more about the treachery involved than a consumer might. I don't care if they bought a house 5 or 6 times. Do they know of the changes? Do they know of the laws? Do they know of the regulations? Do they know of the pitfalls? They bought a house in Montana. Is it the same as buying a house in California or buying a house in Arizona? Probably not. But you do. You know what it's like to run the process here, wherever that is for you. Without that, you're both blind. So I don't hate that. I was talking to a senior agent yesterday. This is an agent that does between 70 and 80 deals a year. Did not know about, we have a disclosure that's an unrepresented buyer disclosure. So it's actually an unrepresented buyer advisory saying, hey, we represent the seller. You unrepresented is a bad thing. She didn't even know about it. She thought it was just the real estate election. I'm like, no, there's a new form that clearly says you are not represented by an agent. You're dumb. It doesn't say it in those words.
I like it.
I would love it to say those words. So, seller, broker informed unrepresented buyer of the fact that they have the right to hire a buyer broker who would represent only them. However, unrepresented buyer has elected not to be represented by a buyer broker in the purchase of this premises and acknowledges the following. You are dumb. All right.
I think the genesis of that form was the implied agency because
Yeah.
too many agents host an open house. Obviously, the intention is to find unrepresented buyers. But if it's, your broker's listing, hopefully it's your broker's listing, but regardless if it's your broker's listing or not, you're employed by the seller is the only reason why you're there. Is because there's a seller with a contract and somebody asks you to do an open house.
Yeah.
So it's to gain feedback and find possible buyers for the home. But without any agency to the buyer, anything you share with them or they share with you should be relayed to the sellers if it's advantageous to them, unless there's an agency agreement.
Yeah. Guys, implied agency is dangerous.
Very.
Very. Because can you inadvertently give bad advice to someone that might harm them if you don't know that you're protecting them? For example, I think it's a great conversation to keep you guys out of the hot water. If you're working with a seller and that's the only party you're representing, and you get an offer and you are just pushing for them to accept this offer, it's a great offer, it's a fantastic offer, you should take this offer. But in your mind, you're like, I bet they'll accept a counter $5,000 higher. And you never share that information with the seller. Have you harmed the seller? Yeah, you have. And that's a breach in fiduciary. And that's when you have agreed upon agency. That's expressed agency. You've written it down. You've signed a contract. Says, yeah, I'm here protecting you. Well, that's pretty cut and dry, right? I'm harming the seller. But implied agency is not as black and white. So you're at an open house. You are not the listing agent, but you are there as a facility of the seller, and you're talking to a potential buyer, and they're giving you all this information. And you're like, you know what? That's fantastic. I think you should do this, 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 and this. And then you start explaining the process to them, and you start explaining the inspections they should do and the different processes that they should take. You've now stepped into implied agency. But during that conversation, the buyers tell you that they just sold their business in California and are sitting on hundreds of millions of dollars in cash, and they love this house. They don't care what they have to pay for it. They just want to live it. But you've already given them all this advice and all this information, all this implied agency, and you go to the sellers and you say, hey, just had an open house visitor show up, and this is what they said. They love it. They want to buy it. They're crazy about it. They got cash for days. I think they want to put in an offer. Have you not just harmed that buyer? Right? I got a couple of you that are listening to this. I really want you to sink that in. You have harmed that buyer's ability to openly negotiate because you've given away their negotiating stance. Even though you're not the listing agent and you're not the buyer's agent, but there was implied agency because you were directing and guiding them in the facilitation of real estate. Now, are they going to know that you went and ran and told the seller that? Who knows? Maybe the listing agent uses the exact same verbiage. We don't care what it costs. We know you guys don't care what it costs. You just want to live it.
It slips in conversation.
Yeah.
Well, at the open house, our buyer told, whoever was hosting the
One
open
of your
house.
agents. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the listing agent. It's one of the brokerage agents heard about it because the broker is hired to, what's the word again I'm looking for? Expressly represent the listing, the seller side, and implied protection of the buyers because we've stepped into that fiduciary wing.
That is the beauty of that form, is it expressly says, I'm here on behalf of the seller. Yeah. Anything you share will not be confidential.
So I don't hate that form.
I shared it in the chat if you guys wanted to take a look at it, but
I will say Arizona's forms are way prettier than your guys's.
You guys got all the numbers on the sides, right?
Yeah.
That's so helpful. Line 109.
Exactly. This looks like someone made it in WinWord. The name and email lines don't line up and anything. It's just
our buyer broker is 17 pages, damn.
That's ridiculous. But welcome to California.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with California. It's just there's been so many lawsuits that they feel like they need to cover themselves in X, Y, and Z way. Not a sexy conversation today, guys, but I'm sorry, but it has to be said.
It's important.
It's important that you know implied agency, danger, danger, danger. That's why we have the buyer broker agreement. We have the real estate election and disclosure. You have your BRBC in California. You have this open house visitor non-agency disclosure. We have all of these things that say, I represent this party in this capacity. And if someone wants to keep pushing for guidance and pushing for, just tell me what you think. You know what? You're the professional, Lydia. Just let me know what you think. What do you think I should do? You cannot give them the information. You cannot guide and advise unless you are expressly representing them. Who wants to get hemmed up in something stupid like that? Stupid. It's so dumb. But because of somebody out there, some dumb consumer who didn't realize that they were walking with snakes, shared a bunch of information that harmed their negotiation. They came back and sued a bunch of people and won because, well, I hate to tell you this, the Department of Justice is always going to protect the consumer. That's where we're at.
I had several people. Well, you're the listing agent. I want to work with you. I said only if it's okay with the sellers.
Yeah. Well, I'll just save money by working with you. That's not how this works.
That's not how this works.
That's the mindset there, right? Anyone else heard that? A buyer goes, well, I just want to work with a listing agent. I'm gonna save some money and work with the listing agent. Okay.
Where the seller will pay the commission, you can collect both.
Tell me more. Tell me more.
Tell me more. Yeah, what's your end game? What's your situation you're trying to win by working with a listing agent? Other thing is, let me ask you this. If you were going to court and someone had stolen your car and you were suing them, would you want them represented by your lawyer at the same time as you? Someone else answer that question for me. Would you? Why not, Lydia?
It's oh my gosh, I just lost the word, but it's a conflict of interest at that point.
Yeah. How
You
can
never know who they're
I
working for.
fully support you as my plaintiff? How can I go after the other guys when I'm supposed to be protecting them too? Dual agency is dangerous. I've done it, I'll do it, but I also very disclose it. Guys, at this point, I'm a referee. I'm not going to give you information on negotiating either way.
That's what I tell them too.
You want to work with a listing agent? I'm a referee. I've done enough transactions to know I can compartmentalize, but even then, our agreement, we have the consent to limited representation because you as a buyer have to consent and you as a seller have to consent to limited representation. Because as a dual agent, I cannot work in a fiduciary manner. You can't straddle the sides of good and evil and stay neutral. It's unfortunate. But you got to communicate that. Someone want to work with just the listing agent because they think they're going to save money. Who are they really there to protect?
We're gonna go in 5 minutes.
Exactly right. 5 minutes, Rachel. I've been working with this seller for a year to get their home ready. I've been to dinner at their house. They've brought me flowers at work. I've gotten chocolates to their mother-in-law when they got sick. I've done all kinds of things in the last year to earn the relationship, to get this deal done. And I've known everything about this family and how this house is going to help them in the future. And all of a sudden, here I come meet Betty Bob and Billy Boop that want to buy this house from me. And now I'm representing them. Please, in what world can I be unbiased? I have 365 days of exposure to this family, in-depth knowledge and relationship and a love for them. And I know what this house means and what it's going to do for them and the lifestyle and everything involved. And I just met you as the buyer yesterday. Am I painting the picture pretty clearly here? Not to tell you you can't do dual agency. You shouldn't. Because to protect your consumer, you got to be all in. Full representation. Suit and armor, baby.
One of the easiest ways too is if you have a buyer that wants to offer on your listing, refer it.
Yeah. 50% of something is better than all of nothing.
Or a lawsuit.
But hey, you know what? If you want to be a dual agent, you can take all that lawsuit or you can get someone else involved and have some difference.
Not only that, how good does it look to your seller?
Yeah, who
I
are you
made a
working for?
commitment to protect you at the listing appointment.
Yeah. Who are you working for? You're going to get that a lot. Who are you working for? I get that all the time. I get difficult sellers like you seem to like you're working for the buyers more than you're working for me. No, I'm working for everybody because you keep getting in the way. And then they'll back down like, "Oh, you're right. I'm sorry." But on the same topic, do most new construction buyers utilize the services of a real estate professional? Why?
Because they think they're getting a deal. Well, I think the agents there tell them they're getting a deal.
They are swan-songed into thinking, I just have to work with the site agent. That's my agent. Same conversation. Who signs their paycheck? The buyer or the builder?
Same thing going, we'll give you a credit if you work with our lender.
Okay. Again, who are you protecting? Who are you working for? Go ahead, Lydia.
The builder.
The builder. If you can showcase how you as a real estate professional are there as a fiduciary shield against bad decisions, do you think you can get more people to utilize you? I am here as a professional to protect your best interests.
Good question to ask that home builder agent. Should we do a home inspection? No, you don't need that. It's a brand new house.
Oh yeah, you don't have to worry about that. We'll take care of those. We'll have walkthroughs. We'll have walkthroughs. Okay.
You have a warranty.
They have a warranty. Bullshit. Look up what's his name? Cy something.
I've seen him. That's good. The YouTube
Something-
where he goes through the inspections.
Cy. I'm gonna find it right now. You guys can look him up.
It's pretty good.
Cy. What was that?
Porter.
These home inspections come out worse than they do on like 50-year-old houses.
Yeah, Sci-Fi CYFY home inspections on TikTok. This guy's got 270,000 followers. He's in Arizona, mostly Maricopa County, so up in Phoenix. And he starts off most of his videos like, "Hey, we're doing a home inspection today to new build. I can't tell you their name." And he's walking by their giant sign.
Right.
And they find things that are not minor issues. We're talking major structural end of life type of things on a house that the builder just, it's good. Check a box.
Caulking on gas lines or something. You're like, oh, good.
Fire hazards. But here's the thing. As a professional, as a protector, as the agent responsible for the transaction, are you going to push for your buyers to protect themselves and say, hey, probably need to get this inspected? I can tell you every time I've done an inspection on a new build, the builders are pissed. Sorry. If you are worried about me bringing in a third-party investigator, clearly you ain't doing it right. As Grandpa would say, you ain't living right. If the preacher can't come into your kitchen, you ain't living right.
I've even had new builds tell me you can't, your realtor can't come as a representative capacity. So I'm just a friend.
I'm here as an interested third party. If you won't let me be a part of the negotiations, what are you hiding?
Right.
We're working on trusts and estate stuff and end of life planning for our families. And like for my mother-in-law, my daughter, not my daughter, her daughter, my wife, is very much involved in every aspect of her life. Financial, medical, legal decisions, all in concert. We get this one attorney that's referred to us to help fill out the will, fill out the trust, fill out all that stuff. First thing out of his mouth in the meeting says, only you can come back to the office, and doesn't let my wife come back there. And Nana, being the sheep that she is, I love her to death, but she doesn't push back, says, okay, and leaves Jess. And Jess is fuming and calls me and says, what do I do? I said, you walk into that office and you tell her, let's go, we're leaving. The lawyer said, well, it's there to protect her because who knows if you guys aren't, harming her or influencing her decisions in any way. I was like, the issue is you never asked, you assumed. But if you won't let us in to talk and have conversations and be a part of the conversation, what are you hiding? What is your end game? What is your angle here? We went and did some reviews and found out that there have been other parties that have not been happy with his processes because they favor his pocketbook better than others. You know what? I am chronically doubtful in people. I trust, but verify. If it don't smell right, I'm going to investigate. If it don't look like, I'm going to ask questions. And if my buyers or my sellers aren't happy with something, I'm going to push the issue. I will not go quietly into that good night. I will kick, I will scream, I will punch and grab because I want to make sure that the people that have hired me to represent their best interests have that bulldog that they need. I don't let go. Neither should you. I want you guys to present that in a manner of expressed and written agency, not implied. Don't give people the warm and fuzzies without having an agreement to do so. Let them know I am here to protect your best interests, and that's why you hire a professional to work on your behalf. Because if they're working both sides, there is not a 50-50% there. There's no longer fiduciary. It is 100% functionary. New build, same thing. If you as a professional can showcase how it would benefit a consumer to use you and that you've got someone looking after their interests, do you think buyers are going to feel more confident? Yeah, site agents are great. I love site agents. They're there to get the house deals done. They're very accommodating. They're good to work with. But when it comes down to it, try to get an addendum pushed into a new build contract or trying to get a clause changed. Like, oh, no, we can't do that. Oh, no, we can't do that. And they'll just push back because they're trained to say no. My answer, bullshit. Do it anyways. And guess what? It gets done. Oh, we can't do that. Yeah, you can, and you will. If you want to sell this house, this is what's going to be on the documents. If not, we'll go somewhere else. Thank you so much. You don't have to be an asshole, but you can be firm. Go ahead, Mar.
Before you pop off for the day, any word on, you guys saw the headline about half of FHA or 40% of the staff being let go? I just wonder if you had any notes so we might assure our people that FHA loans are still going to happen.
Who does the FHA loans? The FHA advisory or a lender?
Yeah, the lenders, but just wondering.
Not a huge issue.
You don't think so, huh?
I don't believe so. There's a lot of bloat in government. So, good deal. I wouldn't be worried about it. Like I said, you just got to confirm it. The FHA is just the government backing of the programs. It's the guidelines that lenders follow for lenders and investors to fund real estate deals. I don't think it's going to slow us down. Any questions, thoughts, comments, concerns? Was today a good day? Happy Wednesday, my friends. Remember, don't let it be implied agency. Ask the questions. Do you want me to represent you? And then formalize the relationship. Ain't nothing wrong with asking for the business.